Hi, this is Get to the Root Steph, and I am here with two guests today. We have Lisa Leitl. She's an experienced guitarist, an experienced singer, a singer-songwriter, and overall musician from Central Florida. She's returned and she's brought a colleague with her today. Lisa, hello, and can you introduce yourself and who you brought with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So, hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. My name is Lisa Leitl, singer-songwriter here from Central Florida. And it's my absolute honor and pleasure to have my amazing producer and dear friend, Rob Wells, here today. So, cheers.
Thank you, Lisa. Thanks for having me here. Great to
Cheers.
be here.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Hello, Rob Wells. Welcome to Get to the Roots and Get to the Roots Extras. Okay, so our first question. We're going to speak about a few things today, guys, but first and foremost, Lisa, you have released your second original song entitled Now You're Gone. What was the inspiration for this song?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to actually talk about how Rob and I kind of met. So, back in 2023, when we first met, he was kind of helping me navigate what am I going to release? What's it going to look like? And he looked at kind of my catalog of songs. And unbeknownst to me, he has this amazing intuition. So he was kind of dividing my songs up and like, I think these should fit on this first EP, and these other ones feel like it's this separate project on another EP. And unbeknownst to me, kind of what he had pulled out was the first EP, which are 4 songs, follow kind of the arc of my life. Didn't see that when he first pulled those first 4 and bunched them together until I started going through them and thinking, oh my goodness, this is telling my life from Little Lisa, which was represented in my first release, Snowfall. And Now You're Gone is kind of that, teens and early 20s and heartache and kind of watching almost the disintegration of the innocence of Snowfall coming into what happens when, we go out, we begin to date, we begin to have relationships, which are really complex. And that's kind of what spurred on and inspired Now You're Gone. So, and the other 2 songs follow the rest of the arc of my life. But that's kind of where we are right now. We're in my teens and 20s.
That's amazing intuition, Rob. Oh my goodness. Wow, I was not expecting that type of answer. Lisa, you always surprise me. That's beautiful.
Yeah, of course. I was caught off guard also. Just he has an intuition, I think, when he hears music to recognize through his years of experience the thread, right? The thread that pulls things together. And I was just really, I was taken back. I think I even may have emailed you or texted you, Rob, and said, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe what you did because this is literally the arc of my life." And the
So
rest
interesting.
Yeah, and the rest are a separate project. So it was fascinating. So yeah, it speaks volumes to getting a producer and someone to work with that really sees who you are as an artist and is really able to kind of piece your work together in ways that really tell a story. So yeah, that's
One of
where
one
I'm
of the
at.
hardest things for me is that I found that all of Lisa's songs, I still find that all of Lisa's songs are incredible songs. They're really well written. They really speak true from the heart and they really move me. So to listen to them and to be choosing which songs should be on the record, which songs should not be on the record. It's really, really hard. I think I said they should all be on records. But for me, it's very important that each record kind of feels like it's under one story arc or one umbrella, that it all kind of feels like they belong together. There used to be a Sesame Street song that said, one of these things just doesn't belong. And I sort of relate that a lot to making records, just making sure that they all feel cohesive and that it feels great from beginning to end, that songs really flow one into the next. And having the right order of songs is very important as well. So when I was hearing these songs of Lisa's, absolutely, I definitely thought these ones belong together and these ones belong together. They're both excellent projects, but I think that if you had a mix of these together on one record, it might feel a little shaky. So that's how that happened.
I love that. Okay, so was releasing this song any different for you, Lisa? So you've gone from the innocence of childhood, as you've just told us, and now you're in the moody, angsty teens, early 20s years of your life. And the feeling of the song, was it easier, harder than releasing Snowfall? Did you feel any unique challenges, or was it like, oh no, I've got like a bigger success here? Like, how did that feel for you? in comparison to the song that we talked about last time?
Yeah. Definitely for me, the second song came with unexpected, I would say, mental and emotional challenges. It caught me off guard because I was like, wow, I got the first song out. I'm so excited. Going on to song two. This is going to be great. All my artist platforms are established. I figured, I've got the groundwork set. And then I was met with, oh boy, there was this part of me that thought this song needs to be better, right? It's got to be better than the first. It's got to move my creativity up a notch. And I thought, oh my gosh, if I keep going at it with that perspective, it started to paralyze me, honestly. I was overthinking. I spent way too many weeks listening over and over to song two, going, wait, is this good enough? Should I do this? Should I redo it? I was so overthinking it. And I recognized, oh, I see you. It was this other version of perfection. And it was just hidden in a new way that I couldn't see at first. And I really appreciate Rob kind of walking me through what I call my squirrely mind, because I set up a session with him and said, I don't know what's going on. I feel frozen. Like I don't want to say yes. Like the song was ready, it was mixed and mastered, and there was this hesitation to say, yes, it's good, let's go. And so, in his wonderful way, he just kind of walked me through it and said, it's all good. Sit with it for another day. Just make sure, and it's good to go. So yeah, it was an unexpected little, I think it was maybe a little ego. I don't know, like something was bubbling up that I had to contend with, and it caught me off guard. So, you know me, I'm always raw and vulnerable about the whole process. So yeah, I don't want that to happen with song three, because if it keeps happening, how are you going to keep, right? I got to get better. I got to get better. That's an impossible thing. They each are unique and they each stand on their own alone. And once I recognize that each of these songs are their own little ecosystem, they stand well enough on their own. There's no comparison, so I let it go. I'm here talking about it. Thank goodness.
And that actually brings us to our third question for our conversation today. So, Rob, you worked with Lisa on the two different songs. What was that like for you? How was it working with her on the first one versus the second one? How did that feel for you? And what would you like to add to that?
Well, I feel so lucky that I get to work with Lisa. I always that's my mandate always, is just be a fan of who you're going to work with. Otherwise, what's the point? Life is short, and you want to make sure that you look forward to Monday morning work when it comes along. So I can't believe I'm lucky enough to work with Lisa. I think she's a tremendous artist. She's a great songwriter. She's a wonderful friend, one of my dearest friends. I love her to pieces. There you go, Lisa. I've just said it out for the whole world to hear. Yeah, working with Lisa has been great. It's just, I love the fact that we started from ground zero, and she had all these amazing songs with no real recording background for herself. Just, as far as she would record the vocals, that's kind of how we have arranged this, that she would have her guitar, she would have her microphone, and she would be responsible for recording all the vocal takes. So we kind of had to get her up and running on that, how to get used to working with a computer program called a DAW and Cubase in this case. Not that Cubase is the only one out there, but there's many other DAWs that are great. It's just that happens to be the one that we're using. And just seeing her get the best vocal takes, finding the best spot in her home in which to record what we call a dead vocal, where there's no reverb or any room bounce or any atmospherics that would get in the way. Recording her guitar, recording multiple takes and getting the best takes, finding a great vocal and then sending me that. And then I would receive these files and we'd have a great discussion about direction. And we talk about her inspiration. And I'd always ask her, what are 3 songs that you wish were yours? Give me that. Tell me what these songs are and what do you like about these songs? What do you like about the production? And we would take all these elements, all these ingredients, as I like to call them, and start stirring them all up together in one big musical pot. And we started to together just generate what the sound would be for each of these songs. Really just again, serving the song is the most important thing. So we have these great songs. I don't want the production to get in the way of the songs. I want the production to serve the songs and really help tell the story of these songs. So it was really just a fine balance of taking these ingredients, figuring out what the song is about, what it means to Lisa, what her inspirations are, and then how do I feel like I can apply myself to all of that and give her exactly what she's looking for while pleasing myself as well sonically. I want to make sure that every song that I work on is a baby of mine as well. I take great responsibility and great care, and I don't want anything to go out into the world until it sounds awesome, till I just feel like this is great. This is exactly what it needs to be. So what was it like working on both songs? I mean, each experience is different. They both covered a broad range of emotions in each song, and I just really wanted to be respectful to each set of emotions that each song brought. And Lisa, you'll agree it was a huge emotional journey for both of us. I think every time that we'd listen to something or I'd add a new layer on there, I think you'd start crying and then I'd start feeling emotional about it. And we'd really dive into the story behind the song. And yeah, it was quite a journey, wasn't it? Sorry, very long-winded answer, but that's what it was like for me to work on both songs with Lisa. And I can't wait to work on song number 3, If She'll Have Me.
Of course. Oh my gosh, are you kidding? Yeah, I'm not going anywhere.
Right. Awesome news.
No, to work with Rob is an artist's, for me, it's an artist's dream because I think to surround yourself with a team, Rob being my number one team supporter, who does take the time to listen carefully and really understand who I am, my sensibilities, and how I imagine my song ultimately being represented out in the world. How he can do that still, it's kind of, I always say this is some magic or something. I don't know. Because I really feel like he has this amazing intuition where he'll just start putting this sonic palette together. And I'm like, how did you know? Like, it's so much is representative of the emotional underpinnings for me of what I am trying to say with what I consider the limitation of the vocal guitar, which is beautiful. And that could stand literally on its own if you wanted it to. But he's just adding these textures and ways in which the emotions really ride the wave of the song. And I also love that he honors the fact that I'm an old school singer where I love to sing from beginning to end all the way through. And I know that's not always the most common way to record today. A lot of people will break it up into chunks. But he says, Lisa, if that's the way you do storytelling, then that's what you should send to me. So he's honored that too. And I think that's really important for me, that he honors kind of just my background as far as what I'm bringing to the process. He's really honored that and listened to it and has allowed me to live in to this new technology and yet embracing some of what I can bring from my years of experience in other ways. So it's just this wonderful mixture. So
I possess the ability to hear examples of what each artist wants their sound to be. And when I listen to these samples, my mind just analyzes everything about those samples, and I start to dissect all of the music and really try to figure out what makes up these pieces of music and what are all the instruments and what is it organic, is it electronic, is it somewhere in between. That's the benefit for me, but it's also a downfall for me because I can no longer listen to music without analyzing it nonstop. So I can't just sit back and be on the beach and all of a sudden a party tune comes on and I'm, just riding the waves and having a great time. No, I am sitting there just like, what's the tempo? What's the key? Who's singing? Who produced this? Who's drumming? Like, what's the time signature? What are all the instruments? It just does not turn off. So that is a bit of an issue when I'm on vacation with my family and, we're trying to have a good time.
I don't think that's an issue. I'm gonna disagree, even though I don't want to disagree with your emotional experience. I think that is being able to deeply analyze and appreciate something can bring you to a higher appreciation and a deeper joy, in my experience at least. And I'm sorry that you feel like you can't sit back and enjoy the wave, but I would argue that your enjoyment might just be felt on a deeper, sorry, I can't talk, deeper level. So I love that. I don't worry about long-winded answers, you guys. Like the conversation that we're having today is something that people don't need to hear my voice. I want people to hear your voices. And I am so honored to be here. And I'm just so happy that you guys were both willing to open up with both me and the Get to the Roots and the Radio St. Pete audience today about your passions. So for everyone that's listening on the radio, we're going to do our Radio St. Pete debut of Now You're Gone. And for those listening to the podcast version, of course, I'm going to have the song linked in the show notes below. So now we're going to shift a little bit. I had written down a different question, but you guys have already answered that question, which I love. So I want to steal Rob's question. I hope that's okay, Lisa. So he's told us that he asked you what 3 songs you wish were yours when you started working with him. So would you mind sharing with us what 3 songs you wish were yours?
Oh my goodness, yeah. Good question. I know the artists. I'm so bad at song titles. So there's this wonderful artist, Tori Amos, Tori Amos. It's not Tori Amos. Sorry, Tori. I'm terrible with names and titles. I could pull it up. It's Wettinger, I believe is her last name. Probably one of my
I actually have all
Yay!
the songs bookmarked
I
here.
love it.
Virginia by Tori
Wettinger?
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Let's see. There was Lydia Luce, or I'm not sorry if I'm mispronouncing. Vow.
This is why I
And then
don't
there was
remember them.
Bleed Me White by the Sweeplings.
The Sweeplings. Yeah. And those were for this song, and they were different songs for Snowfall.
Oh, okay.
Right? So each song, Rob will say, as you're just recording this particular song and you're listening to the music that you love, what are the songs that you feel are touching kind of that similar emotional thread? And these were the 3. I'm so glad you had those available. Even when I was singing covers, I had to have the list of artists and songs. I readily admit it. They just, I could
I'm
remember
there for you,
all the
Lisa.
words. Yeah.
I would argue in your defense that a song that makes you feel something and that you like the feeling of it, that will be more important sometimes to us as experiencers and listeners than the details coming to mind of the name of the artist and the album. And I mean, you can learn all those things later about that. But when something gives you a powerful feeling or just something that you'd like to replicate yourself, that is the most important piece of information that your brain latches onto. So I completely understand. Our minds just don't always work that way. We are not computers. We are people. So,
and they're on my playlist, and I've actually written to those artists to thank them. Right? Like I've tracked them down, whether it was on Instagram or one was through email. And we just had this amazing email conversation back and forth about how just their songs have really moved my own project forward. And they were so grateful to hear how their work has moved another artist's work forward. So I have actually reached out and thanked all of them. So I should remember their names. Forgive me, all of you.
So, Rob, in my last conversation with Lisa, we spoke about her career before she was at the point she is now. And she was singing her covers, performing live, singing, as she said, from beginning to end, being an old school singer. So, how about you? How have you come to work with so many different artists, getting into like songwriting and production? Like, what led you to where you are now?
Wow. Are you ready? This is the long-winded answer of all long-winded answers, but I'll try to shorten it as much as possible. I grew up in a very musical family. Everybody was playing piano or singing in my family, and my dad was a United Church minister here in Canada. And so there was music everywhere I turned. And by the time I was born, I already had a 4-year-old brother who was playing piano, and my mother's playing piano, my grandparents, like everybody's playing. So to me, piano was just kind of like, you learn English, you learn piano. Like, English is being spoken at home, and so is piano. So as soon as I could stand, I would be right beside that piano and just plunking away at the keys with all 10 fingers, just, smashing into it. And that was just my way of also communicating. And that just led to me learning by ear, hearing all the pieces that were being played, being surrounded by music nonstop until I was about 5. I started to be able to play chords and melodies. And then by about 7, I was playing what I was hearing on the radio. I was playing a lot of the chords and the melodies and coming up with rhythms with my left hand and just having a lot of fun. When I was 8, in Canada, we say grade 3. I know it's 3rd grade in the States, but my grade 3 teacher, we really bonded. He was a United Church organist as well on the weekends. And so he loved the fact that I was playing piano all the time. He had a piano in our grade 3 room, in our classroom. Very thankful for that, because I had full access to a piano now at school as well as at home. So all my friends would be like, "Hey, can you play this song from the radio?" And I'd start playing, and they loved it. And then my teacher took me aside and said, "Rob, have you ever thought about writing your own song? Because I know you're playing everybody else's songs right now." And that idea had never even crossed my mind. That just seemed like, somebody showing you a brand new color that you have never seen before. So he challenged me over the holiday break in December. He said, "Go home, and I want you to try. I want you to come up with some chords, the same chords that you're playing right now from other people's songs. I want you to find a melody, and I want you to write some words down. It doesn't have to be that long. Just come up with something." So I went home, and I was so happy to try this challenge. I went and worked on it, and 2 weeks later came back in January and said, "I wrote something," and I played it for him thinking he was just going to laugh it off. But he was so kind and so cool. Mr. Tompkins, who's passed away, but great guy, he took this song and he learned it and he taught the class the song. And then that following April, the class performed that song in front of the school, where I got kind of like a little standing ovation in front of teachers, parents, and students. And my life was changed completely. I wanted to be an astronaut before that, and then I wanted to be a songwriter after this experience happened. So literally from there on, I wasn't playing other people's songs. I was writing songs, and my friends were now asking me to write them songs for their pet dog or their vacation or some cute girl in the class or whatever. I was just constantly just writing, and loved it. And that just carried forward through my life. I was told along the way, you can't have a career in music. So I listened to a lot of people and figured, well, what's my secondary love? I love art. I love drama. So I got into computer animation. I did that for 7 years in the industry. I went to school for that. But all the while I was writing at home every weekend, every evening. I would go home and I would take some of the money that I was making from animation and I would pour that into buying a keyboard, buying a computer, buying a drum machine, buying a microphone, buying some recording equipment, and keep writing these songs all by myself. Nothing was happening musically. I'm going to work every day. I then got introduced to the next brand new color that I had never thought of. Somebody suggested that I get into co-writing, that I start writing songs with other people. And that was really weird to think about because songs were so personal to me. And I just thought, why share it with anyone? They won't understand my story. They won't get it. However, I took a chance and I started co-writing. And the minute that I started co-writing, things started happening with my songwriting career, where suddenly I'm now getting out there in the world. I'm meeting other people. Word is spreading that I'm a songwriter, that I also produce a little bit. I just, do some demos. And it's getting around in the Toronto area of Canada. And soon, I'd say a year later, I got word of a writing camp that was happening where there were going to be 40 songwriters coming together to write for one project. I got the telephone number of the person that was organizing it. I called, I begged and pleaded. I said, "You don't know me, I know, but I promise you, if you let me in, I'll, do whatever it takes to get all the songs. I'll write thousands of songs if you want me to write." Anyways, they let me in. And I took a week's vacation from my animation gig, got in there, wrote a whole bunch of songs. None of the songs got selected to go on the project. However, 2 years later, I got a phone call from one of the co-writers at that camp. And they said, "Do you remember that song we wrote day 2 in the afternoon?" I said, "Yeah." They said, "We're going to release it with an artist here in Canada. Are you cool with that?" And I said, "Please, that would be amazing." And literally 2 months later, I heard that song on the radio. It got released. The song went top 10 in Canada, and I quit my animation job a week later, thinking I was going to be a millionaire, off of a top 10 hit in Canada, where the population at that time was 37 million people. You don't become a millionaire overnight with a top 10 hit in Canada. Worldwide, maybe, yeah. But anyways, Canadian Idol and American Idol, they all started right around the same time. And because of that one hit that I had on the radio, I got asked to work for Canadian Idol, on the winner of Canadian Idol, Ryan Malcolm. And I started writing songs for him. I ended up producing a couple of songs on that album. The following year, I did almost half the Canadian Idol record for Kaylin Porter. The third year, I did, again, almost half the record for Melissa O'Neill. And I wrote what's called the winner single. When the contestant wins, they come out, they stand on stage, and they sing their first single. I wrote that song. Teresa LaBarbera Whites, who discovered Destiny's Child, happened to be listening to that song, and she reached out and contacted me and said, I love what you're doing. I think you would be perfect for an artist that I'm working with, whose name is Nick Lachey from 98 Degrees. And she flew me down to New York, and I met Nick and started working with him. We wrote a whole bunch. I got 3 songs on his record. 2 of them became singles. She then got me to meet Backstreet Boys, and I started working with Backstreet Boys. And then it's just started rolling. Selena Gomez, I started working with her. Went over to England, started working with Paloma Faith and Mika. Like, everything's exponentially just growing, growing, growing. I then came back to Canada and met 13-year-old Justin Bieber about a month before everything exploded. And I ended up working on his first record, and I produced all of his third record. And once you do that, just your world becomes insane. It just really just blows up, and suddenly your calendar is never sitting empty. But what has been great about all this is that I can pick and choose who I want to work with. And I can really just, the very first thing that I ask is, what is the hang going to be like? What is it going to be like to sit in a boat with this person in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean for 8 hours a day and not want to throw them overboard? And if the answer is yes, you're going to love working with this person. You're going to love hanging out with this person and laughing and loving with this person. And then at the end of the day, are you going to love the product that you create with this person? So if the answer is yes to that, that's who I'm always choosing to work with. And it doesn't matter whether the artist is just getting started or if they've done 20 albums, they've got a huge career or whatever. Like, none of that stuff matters to me. I just want to work with good people making great music. That's what I want to turn around and look at the end of it all and just say, what a ride. That was amazing. Awards and stream counts and all that, like, that ends up being the byproduct of a life and career like that. But yeah, I'm in it to meet a lot of great people and make a lot of great music and have a great time with my smile on my face. Anyways, long-winded answer. That's how I got into this industry. Nothing for the longest time. And then finally, when I was about 31, things really started exponentially growing, and it hasn't let up at all. It's a nutty life, but I love it.
That reminds me of the importance of, first of all, that's amazing. I'm sorry, that's amazing. And I don't want to not say that that's amazing, because it is. And that makes me so happy for you. And that makes me so happy for you, Lisa, as well. But it reminds me of this really interesting experience that I had when I went to the Dolly Parton Museum in Dollywood. She has this beautiful hallway in her museum with all of the people that she collaborated with over the years. And you could just see like the beautiful smiles on everyone's faces, and something that I feel like forget for a long time in all being like artists is the importance of collaboration, and how it can really bring success through a beautiful way instead of like success through a terrible way. So I love that. I love hearing that. I had no idea. Lisa was just like, hey, I'm going to bring my friend and producer. And I was like, yes, another person. And that is incredible. Thank you so much for sharing all of that with us and for opening up about how you feel about it too. That's awesome.
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
Okay, so switching a little bit back over to Lisa so we can hear a little bit more about this third and hopefully fourth and fifth and sixth and seventh and eighth and 99th song. So we talked last time, and we talked a little bit about this time too, about the the dry room without the echo, and learning the doll. And we also talked about your struggle with everyone has struggled with this, but perfectionism. But for your song, your third song of this like 4-song EP, do you already have an idea of like what you want to include in it that might be different from the other two, or like the feeling? Can you tell us a little bit?
Ooh, yeah, no, not yet.
Okay, good.
Yeah, this third song is I guess I'm gonna say this with every song, I'm just gonna have to get used to this. It's always a struggle for me. And I'll tell a little bit of the backstory because I think it's important for people to hear the evolution of what's occurred here. So, Rob and I first met, it was in 2023. And so these songs really came to fruition throughout 2023. Well, it's 2026. And so as time has evolved and all of my intentions were I'm going to release all of these songs in 2024. Yeah, that did not happen. Life happened. Many other things happened. But behind the scenes, I was still, working on my craft, working on my skills. And I was always putting aside money knowing that, okay, I've got to also be creating the finances so that I could keep this amazing team going and keep my project going. But, 3 years into it, I really hope that I've grown now both as an artist and a songwriter. So as I'm really getting ready to record my tracks, even on this third song, I'm really stepping back and saying, is this the best I can do today? I could absolutely take what was written in 2023 and put that out now. But my real true desire as I'm doing this is also to honor who I am and the growth that I'm having as I'm doing this process. And so I'm really having to I'm rewriting. I'm not tearing apart all of it, but I am rewriting. I'm looking with fresh ears and fresh eyes and saying, is this the best that I would write today in 2026? Or do I just really need to sit back and look at this song now from 3 years of more experience and really start to add in what I can see now and hear now that I couldn't in 2023. So as these songs are coming out, I too am honoring the growth that's occurring. And that growth is also happening just from also working with Rob and watching the way he listens. I am intent on watching his process because it helps me to understand in a new way how he listens to things. So I too now am listening differently just by observing this relationship that we've had going on and just things he shares. He'll do a little snippet on somewhere and I'll listen to it and think, oh, yeah, I've got to go back and think about that for this song. I've really got to sit and really be with it. Is this Lisa now in 2026 or could this be stronger? So, yeah, song 3 is evolving right now. I was actually getting ready to record tracks, but I'm revisiting a section of the song right now. And so until that's all solidified, I won't be heading into the closet back. I'll be holding off.
And for listeners that may not remember this from the last time we spoke, the closet that she's referring to is her lovely dry room where she can record the best vocals. So, I mean, that is something that people may not think about until they've made their own music. Like, where can I get this recording? I mean, we talked a little bit about it before we started speaking on air today. Lisa had some yard work going on. Rob's up there in Canada melting where it's 113 degrees Fahrenheit. I turned off my AC unit. Like, we need to think about how the sound comes through sometimes. Yes, the closet is, maybe we should rename that Special Magic Song Room.
Yeah, song room, the recording booth / clothes hanging place. Well, I mean, the clothes make great soundproofing.
I do love the fact, though, that Lisa's taking her time with all of these songs. I remember as a kid, I was a huge fan of Superman, so I'm going to reference Superman right now from the 1970s with Christopher Reeve. But there's a moment where Clark Kent goes up to the north and throws this crystal into the snow, and then all of a sudden the Fortress of Solitude grows out. And into the Fortress of Solitude he goes, and he meets his father through a projection or something, and his father teaches him all the things that he needs to know. in the movie, I think that moment takes up about 10 minutes of time, but it really represents years that he's in there preparing and learning and just getting it so that when he's ready to go out into the world, it's at the right time. And so I view each song like that too. It's just craft it until you really feel like this is ready to go out into the world, because it is your baby. It is your baby that you're opening up the door and saying, go do well in this world. I can not teach you anymore. Please go and make this world a better place. Right. So taking your time with something, really making sure that each release that you put out in the world is the absolute best that you can do right here, right now. It's so important. And kudos to you, Lisa, for not rushing that process in any sort of way. It's wonderful to see.
Well, it's really essential, I think, for my own well-being to honor. I struggled mightily in 2023 and 2024 because I was like, let's get it all done now and let's put it all out in the world right away. Like I was really, because I was super excited and hyper and then when I took a breath and I thought, okay, this is going to be a slower road than I had anticipated. And I also recognized through the beauty of allowing that pace, so many things unfolded as I allowed it to live into the time it needed to be that was not in control of, where others had an influence, because even the song order had shifted because there was a delay, an unexpected delay. And I really could see in hindsight, of course, it was frustration when the delay happened. I was like, I can't believe there's a delay. I can't believe this isn't going to happen the way I anticipated. I thought I was going to be doing tracks somewhere else and I was all set to do it. But through that delay, the beauty that came from allowing it to unfold at the right time was, oh, that song wasn't supposed to be released first. This other song was supposed to go out first. And that would not have happened if I had forced my time and my will into the project. But when I could just take a breath and say, okay, this is happening for a reason, and trust the energies that are working outside of me that I don't have control over, to say, just take a pause, take a breath, and just see what happens if you just take the pressure off of your idea of what the time frame should be, and then allow this project fully to live into itself at its own pace. That was a really big lesson for me. And I'm really living into that now, but in the beginning it was frustration. But now it's like, oh, okay, if frustration comes up, I just say, no, I'm going to trust that this is supposed to not go out right now and it's supposed to go out at this other time. And it always, always works out better than if I had just forced my will upon it. So however that works, I don't know. But yeah, I'm learning to trust.
That is awesome. I feel like, so I had written down a question about advice that either of you would offer to singer-songwriters out there listening. We have a lot of singer-songwriters that are very involved with Radio St. Pete. I've been lucky enough to become friends with a lot of them too. And they're at all different stages as well, which is exciting, and also different methods. And so is there any other advice that either of you would offer to a singer-songwriter out there, something that you think that other people may not always think about when they're putting out music, that it could apply to either someone newer or either someone more experienced putting out music in today's world?
Lisa, you want to go first?
Sure, I'll go first. Well, number one, I feel incredibly honored and blessed to have Rob as part of my team. I mean, so I'm going to say to anyone out there if you're just wondering, number one, how am I going to do this on my own? First, think about, what are your skill sets? And if production isn't one of them, that's okay. Really look for someone that can work with you so that you are not spending so much time in areas where it might be 8 years down the road before you perfect your own production skills. I don't know how long that might take. I just recognize that was not an area of interest of mine. And so once I let go of that, immediately, no surprise, Rob showed up in my world and we just connected. And I thought, oh, there are these other individuals and this amazingly talented individual that can help fill in where I just didn't feel that that was my skill set. And it released me so much from the burden of thinking I had to do everything, because there's this kind of glorified story out there right now that, oh, just get a laptop, get a microphone, get a DAW, record your own songs and release them. It's way more complicated than that, and it's way more detailed than that. If you want to put out a product that you feel is putting your best work forward, at least from I'm just speaking from my perspective. So I say, if certain areas, even if it's maybe an instrument and maybe you know enough just to get the chords down, but you want a pro player to come in and play on your behalf, do that. Like, call out team people that can come in and help your project be the best that it can be today as you're building your own skill set instead of waiting. I find a lot of people will wait, but that waiting can be years down the road, and you can lose momentum. You can lose enthusiasm. It can be discouraging. So I just say, find people that can really help you bring your best art forward without having to feel like it's all on you to do all parts of it. Because if I had to do all of these parts, I said to Rob one day, I would not be releasing my music. I recognized really early on production was not something I was called to learn and do. And I was very fortunate to have him kind of be there at the right time to step in and say, let's do this together. So I was like, yes. So finding those people, finding the people that can help you put out your best art and not have to wait until you have to build all of these other skill sets. And if you're one that can do all of that, congrats to you. That just wasn't for me. And I think there are a lot of artists that are in a similar position that I am in. So I just encourage you to find someone like Rob, find someone that can help you really get your best project out there. So that's my advice. Yeah. And one step at a time. Yeah. Rob, do you want to step in?
Sure. That was awesome. That was awesome. I'm going to continue on from that and just say that to any artist out there or songwriter who wants to release their music and maybe production is not their thing, be really careful with choosing a producer. Be really careful, because anybody can put up their hand and say, I'm a music producer. And I've seen countless horror stories of people getting taken advantage of, their sound becoming nothing like what they wanted it to be, forking over huge amounts of money. Like it goes on and on and on. So here's my advice. When you listen to records or singles or whatever they are, do your research on them. If you really like them, if you really, really like what you're hearing, read the credits, read through and see if there's any names on there that keep repeating as to people that, are involved with the songwriting or the production, or maybe this person was a drummer or they did slide guitar or whatever. If you keep seeing the same names popping up, and don't be afraid to reach out to those people. I promise you, everybody is a human being. And if they're anything like me, they just want to work on great music with great people and not want to break people's bank accounts as well. I'll work on so many different jobs that, I'll work for a major record label and the amount that I'm being paid will be astronomical. And then I'll work with somebody else who's just getting started and they have no money, but I really love what they're doing. Reach out to these people. Reach out to these people, because I promise you, they just want to work on great music with great people. And if they're a huge fan of what it is that you're doing, I guarantee they're going to find space in their schedule to work with you. I guarantee it. Just do that research. What you really want to find with a producer is somebody that believes in you and what you are 100%. They have to believe in that 100%. They can't come along and say, oh yeah, you're cool, but I'm going to change what makes you great. I'm going to change your music. That's horrible. If you're loving what it is that you do and somebody comes along and wants to change that, don't put up with that. What you want to find is a producer that really loves what makes your 100% great. And then it's their intention to just sprinkle 10% or 20% on top of what makes you great, so that it makes your project next level. It makes it otherworldly while still honoring what makes you great. Find that. Don't find somebody that wants to strip your bank account bare and change who you are. Also, ask around. Other people say, have you ever worked with this person? Have you ever heard stories about this person? If it's all great, if it is all, golden reports coming back saying this person was wonderful to work with, that's great. But still be very cautious. Still be very cautious and start with one song. Get together and write one song or produce one song, co-produce, whatever. See how it goes. See how it feels. And if it's great, do a second. And if it's still great, maybe this person is right for you. That's what I really suggest for everybody. My next bit of advice that I would suggest is when you're writing or when you're producing, do not chase the charts. Chase your heart. Be true to yourself. Write the songs that you want to write. Don't say, well, I can't write that because it doesn't sound like Beyonce. Write what's in your heart. Create what's in your heart. And assume that the majority of the world is not going to get into what it is that you want to create. But there's 8 billion people on planet Earth currently, slightly north of that. If 0.001% of everybody on the planet loves what it is that you do, that's 8 million people. So create the art that you want to create. Do it. Be proud of it. Serve yourself. Serve the song. Make it beautiful. Make it the best that you can do right here, right now. The better you is always right around the corner. You don't have to wait for the better you. You just make what you can do right here, right now. And growth is inevitable. Your records down the road will sound much better than what you're doing right now. That's the case for everybody. Every major artist that's out there, you go back through their catalog, it progresses. It sounds better and better as time goes on. That's just the way that creativity goes. You'll always look back at your older material and hang your head in shame. I do the same thing with my productions. I listen to stuff that I was doing 20 years ago and thinking, who in their right mind ever paid me for anything? So yeah, that's my bit of advice that is there. Also, last thing, always chase your dreams. Always, 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 always chase your dreams. Don't let anybody tell you that it can't be done. As long as it doesn't hurt anybody or yourself, chase your dreams. Chase your dreams. Each day is an opportunity to get from point A to point B. And then once you get to point B, there's point C after that. And then there's point D. And may your dreams never end. May that chase never end. There's my, again, long-winded answer for you.
Can I add one thing on top of that, Rob?
Yeah.
I love what you shared, and I want people to hear this because this just speaks volumes to the relationship that can be built between two people that are really passionate about what they do. I will never forget, and I will always be grateful to Rob for this. When we first decided, yes, we're going to work together, he said, Lisa, you're my friend. I want you to make a commitment to me. I said, okay. He said, if we do this first song, and you just decide, I just don't think this is a fit for my music, we are going to remain friends regardless. And I thought, okay, that's a person that really understands the complexity and the vulnerability of what it really takes to work together to bring something beautiful out into the world. Because it wasn't about, I just want to produce this person's material. It was really about honoring, am I going to give Lisa as the artist something she now says, yes, this is what I want. This is what I'm going to put out. And if that doesn't happen, that we still maintain this beautiful friendship. And I thought, okay. And of course, no surprise, because the heart is there, right? The heart for both of us is really about the song and putting the best artistry out in the world, right? And so really finding people that hear you and see you and honor that, and that it is about the song. Once you get that, it's a magical ride after that. So sorry, Rob, I had to add that because it
Love
really stuck with me for years through our friendship and through our work together as professionals. And yeah, so
I love it. My whole family, we came to the Orlando area last March this year, and Lisa was the first person that I reached out to saying, I'm going to be in your town. And we got together and you met my whole family. We went out for dinner, and it's just like, once you've worked with me, you're my friend for life, unless something goes astronomically wrong. I just can't see that ever happening. But yeah, that's what life is about, right? Is just change this world, help humanity, be kind, all of that. Yeah. So anyways, sorry, Lisa, stealing your show right now.
No, I want people to hear what is possible for themselves in this musical world, because I think so often, especially as an artist, if you're looking to work with others, immediately I think people go to, well, what can I afford, and who's in that price range, and I'm going to shop around. And I really just invite you into thinking about, who is it that's doing something that's moving my heart? And then you're reaching out to that individual and saying to them, wow, you've touched my heart with your music. And is this possible? Can we do this together? And just be surprised. Like, just be open to what can happen when you don't limit yourself based on all of the things you're told by other people. Just block all that out. Trust your instincts, trust your artistry, and trust your heart. Trust your heart to guide you to the right people, and to just step in and courageously and say, well, what if I went and worked with Rob? What would that look like? And, it's literally been the best thing to happen to I call it the third reinvention of Lisa as a musician. It's the best decision I made. It's the best thing for me. So just surprise yourself. That's all.
Yes, exactly. Be a fan of your producer and make sure that your producer is a fan of you.
Yes, and yes.
It's like dating almost, It's just like, do you like me? Do I like you? This is great. Cool. Let's go for a coffee. Let's see how that works. Right? You're not jumping into bed right away. You're going for a coffee. You're going for a second coffee. You're going for a long walk. Can we hang? Can we hang? Do we see music the same way? Do we see life the same way? Can we talk? Can we communicate? Can we respect each other? Can we make changes and not feel like we're going to be hurt? We're going to be crushed by, somebody saying, well, have you thought about it this way instead? Also, the house of yes. Make your collaborations the house of yes. Make sure that you try everything that is suggested from both parties, that you entertain. Well, what if? Let's see what can happen if we try this idea. It might seem really quirky, but it might end up making the song great. So make the house of yes your priority. Nobody wants to hear no nonstop, or else they'll stop talking. Make it the house of yes. Make it a great, loving experience.
That is so wonderful, you guys. I hope that listeners are feeling as inspired as I feel right now. Oh my goodness. Beautiful. Thank you guys so much. We are coming to the end now. I know everyone, as we said earlier, has lives and they have things they want to do. I do want to go over a few things real quick. Lisa, where can we find Now You're Gone, and where can we find more of you? Because I know people are going to want to connect and listen and...
Yeah, absolutely. So Now You're Gone is out on all the streaming platforms. The easiest way, if you want to just get links to some of them, is to go to my website. So you can go there and find Now You're Gone. There'll be links to, Spotify, YouTube, the usuals. And so you can link there, and it'll tell you a little bit about me, who I am as an artist. And you can join my mailing list there if you like. No pressure, but yeah.
And so your website, is it lisaleitl.com?
It is.
Okay,
LISALEITL.com. Yep.
And also, Lisa is available on YouTube as well, where she shares some good advice and some reflection and some very thoughtful videos too. And you can also, if you are interested in YouTube, her channel is Lisa Leitl, correct?
It is, yeah. And there's a link on my front page of my website also, directly to the YouTube channel.
All right. And I know listeners are probably going to want to hear more from Rob as well. Rob, where can people find you online? And other than the credits of all of the artists that you mentioned earlier, and I'm sure many, many more.
Sure, sure. Thank you for saying that. Just really, if you Google Rob Wells, music producer, the last two words are very important because there's an actor here in Canada whose name is also Rob Wells, and he plays a drunk on Canadian television on a show called The Trailer Park Boys. So if you look up just Rob Wells, you will see about 30 pictures of this guy who always has a rum and coke in his hand, and he's smashed out of his mind. If you want to find me, you have to look up Rob Wells, music producer online, and you'll find my website, which is robwellsmusic.com. I'm on Instagram at RobWMusic. You can write me there. There's a way that you can write me through my website. All of that is kind of how it is. I have a link tree as well that you can find if you just type in Rob Wells music producer link tree, and all of the way to reach out and talk to me it's all right there.
Excellent. Okay, so Lisa already knows this. So we're coming to last question time. And I know we've probably already gone over this because we've had such a beautiful conversation today. And thank you guys again so much. But I end every interview, every conversation I have with, what is your message to the world? Like, if everyone had to listen to you and understand you and they had to hear your words, what would you tell everyone? Last time when I spoke with Lisa, it really struck me. Her ultimate message to the world was, you matter. And I thought that was beautiful. So for my last question for both of you is just, what would you like to leave listeners with? What is your message to the world before we wrap up today? Lisa, would you like to go first?
Well, that really is it. I really, if I could have the ears of every human being, it is to say that you matter, that your presence on the earth matters, because without you, I've said this before, the tapestry is missing a thread, and every thread is essential to this tapestry that we're weaving. So you matter, your art matters, and if you're not an artist, what you do matters, right? Everything we do, who we touch, the people we speak to, it all matters. So it stays, that message is definitely my worldwide message, that you matter. I hope that everyone really can feel that. It's truth. Yeah. Rob, is there something that
So beautiful. So beautiful. Honestly, how lucky are we all to be alive? Every single life form on this planet is a miracle when you think about it scientifically. Each mother, each woman has 600,000 eggs, and you just happen to be one out of 600,000 that was chosen. And you made it, and you're still here. You're still alive. Like that is the most insane lottery win right there. Not just that, but your grandparents, your mother was also one of 600,000. Your father was one of 600,000. Your grandparents, your great-grandparents, your great-great-great. It goes back and back and back, so that the odds of you being here scientifically are close to 400 trillion to 1. That's nuts. That's nuts. You're so lucky. Embrace this great life. Make it great. Chase your dreams. Make it so that at the end of it all, you look back and say, that was awesome. I wouldn't have changed a thing. Whatever it is that you want to do, chase it. Whatever gets you excited in the morning, chase it. As long, as I said before, as it doesn't hurt you or anybody else. Chase it, because you're here one time. That's what I firmly believe. And just make it awesome. Awesome. You're so lucky to be alive. You're a miracle. Chase what is going to make your life the best life of all time.
All right, there you have it. Thank you so much again, Lisa Leitl and Rob Wells, for joining me on Get to the Roots on Radio St. Pete and Get to the Roots Extras, where I archive all of these interviews. I'm so grateful for you both for joining me today and for speaking with everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Steph.
Thank you so much, Stephanie.